Mr. President, the personal explanation is in respect of the death of Senator Adebayo Salami, and I said brought pursuant to Order 43 of the Senate Standing Order. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, it is with grief that I rise to formally announce the demise of a former senator of the Federal Republic, Senator Adebayo Salami, who represented Osun Central Senatorial District from 1999 to 2003. One of the mercurial politicians of his time, Senator Adebayo Salami, until his death in the United States of America on 7 January 2021, after a brief illness, was a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress and was one of the pivots on which the progressives in Osun rested at the return of democracy in 1999. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, as a fitting honor for his democratic struggles, Senator Adebayo Salami got elected into the Senate in 1999 on the platform of the Alliance for Democracy, where he served as chairman, Senate Committee on Culture and Tourism, 2002 to 2003, vice chairman, Senate Committee on Labor and Productivity, 1999 to 2003, and member Public Account Committee 1999 to 2000, Oil and Gas Committee 2000 to 2003, Committee on Defense 2001 to 2003, Committee on Population 2000 to 2003, and FCT Committee 2000 to 2003. I want to also place on record that Senator Adebayo Salami laid a very strong foundation for subsequent senators from our Osun Central Senatorial District. Senator Salami also played a very prominent and historic role in the democratic struggle to win back Osun for the progressives in the 2007 governorship election and the struggle to reclaim the mandate of Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola. His residence was a garrison of sorts in the preparation for the election petition and during the prosecution of the petition. He played several roles in the formation and strengthening of the APC in Osun and Southwest. Aside being a reputed community leader in Osogbo, he contributed immensely to the affairs of Muslim community in the state. He organized on a regular basis empowerment programs for the needy in the community. He was a strong pillar of Osogbo Solidarity Group, an association of leading elites and leaders of thought in Osogbo. I therefore, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in line with parliamentary convention, move for a 1-minute silence in honor of the departed soul, and also request that the Senate send a delegation or possible representation to commiserate with the family of late distinguished senator who diligently represented the people of Osun Central Senatorial District and an icon of progressive politics in our state and the region. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator Ajibola. Because you have come under Order 43, this is not debatable. And in the prayers, only the 1-minute silence can be done. The others are supposed to be debated emotions, and so we observe 1-minute silence. May the soul of late Senator Adebayo Salami, our former colleague, rests in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Ali Wamako on the Compulsory Free Universal Education Act, Cap C52 LFN 2004 as amended, Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Compulsory Free Universal Education Act, Cap 352, LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2021, SB 44, first reading.
Compulsory Free Universal Education Act Cap C52 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021 SB 44 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Isa Emmanuel Okejev on the Legal Aid Council Act Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Legal Aid Council Act Amendment Bill 2021, SB 560, first reading.
Legal Aid Council Act Amendment Bill 2021 SB 560 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Sani Mohammed Musa on the Critical Infrastructure Protection Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate. Can you use your mic, please?
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Critical Infrastructure Protection Bill 2021, XB 610, first reading.
Critical Infrastructure Protection Bill 2021 SB 610 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Tanko Umaru Al-Makura on the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Birds, etc. Act Cap U15 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, University Teaching Hospitals Reconstruction and of Board, etc. Cap, etc. Act Cap U15 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021 SB 617 first reading.
University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards, etc. Act Cap U15 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021 SB 617 first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Adi Stephen Odi on the Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Ogoja, Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Ogoja, Establishment Bill 2021, SB 621, first reading.
Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Ogoja, Establishment Bill 2021, SB 621, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The sixth business of the day is the presentation of the reports of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition in respect of A, petition from Mr. Kingsley Toru on behalf of Remote Technologies Limited against the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, for non-payment of the sum of 9,575,666,700 naira for contract executed. And B, petition from Olaniyan Shehu Muhib and other affected staff of Digital Bridge Institute, DBI, against the Institute for non-implementation of the directive of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation as regards the staff of the Institute whose appointments were terminated in March 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Patrick Akinyenure, Chairman of the Committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator Ayo Patrick Akinyenure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Ayo Akinyenure, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate do receive the reports of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition in respect of A, petition from Mr. Kingsley Toru on behalf of Riverine Technology Limited against the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, for non-payment of the sum of 9,375,216 naira 700,000 for contract executed. And B, petition from Mr. Olaniyan Shehu Muhib and other affected staff of Digital Bridge Institute, DBI, against the Institute for non-implementation of directive of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, as regards the staff of the Institute whose appointment was terminated in March 2019. I hereby move that this report be laid, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Cleopas Zuok, you may second the motion. Moved by Senator Ayo Akinyenure.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my highly distinguished members. My name remains Distinguished Senator Cleopas Moses, privileged to represent the blessed people of Bayelsa Central Senatorial District. I rise to second the motion as moved by my distinguished colleague. I so second, sir.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate receives the reports of our Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, you may lay the reports. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of Engineer Wakil Bukar for appointment as a Commissioner of the Federal Civil Service Commission in accordance with Section 154 of Section 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President and CNC to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we do refer this to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate receives and refers the request of Mr. President CNC for screening and confirmation, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President CNC is hereby referred to the Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
The second order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President and CNC for the confirmation of the nomination of Mr. Agogo Athotomela Adolphus for appointment as Auditor General of the Federation in accordance with Section 86 of Section 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President CNC be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion ably moved by the Senate leader that we do refer this executive communication to the appropriate committee for legislative action. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate refers the request of Mr. President CNC, the request for the confirmation of the Auditor General, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President CNC is hereby referred to the Senate Committee on Public Accounts to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
The third order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee of Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition in respect of the following. A. Petition from DSC Ibrahim Megari against the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps for alleged threat to his life, conspiracy to eliminate him, assault, intimidation, torture, and unwarranted long detention. B. Petition from Bamba Adesanya, SAN, on behalf of Right Foods Limited against 7 Up Bottling Company, PLC, and Zayed Malouf for allegedly threatening the internal security of the nation and existence of the Foods Limited of Sosa, Ogun State. C. Petition from senators of Akwa Ibom State against the nomination of Mr. Lamido Yuguda as Director General of Securities and Exchange Commission instead of nominating Mary Udok, who was already serving as Acting Director General at the Commission. D. Petition from Osotoye Shegun Kayode against the Nigerian Correctional Service for erroneously including his name on the retirement list of senior officers of the service. E. Petition from Finian Tobias Okoro on behalf of 26 other lecturers of the Nigerian Maritime University, Okoren Koko, whose appointments were allegedly terminated by the university without justifiable cause. The President, the King's senators will recall that these reports were laid on Thursday, 30th of January 2020 Tuesday, 24th March 2020, and Wednesday, 14th October 2020, and Thursday, 8th October 2020, respectively. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Ayo Patrick Akinyele to move the motion for the Senate to consider the report of the committee.
Distinguished Senator Ayo Akinyele.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name remains Senator Ayo Akinyele, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition in respect of A, petition from DSC Ibrahim Magari against the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps for alleged threat to life, conspiracy to eliminate him, assault, intimidation, torture, and unwarranted long detention. B, petition from Bambo Adesanya, SAN, on behalf of Right Food Limited against 7-Up Bottling Company, PLC, and Ziad Malouf for alleged threatening in internal security of nation and existence of Right Food of Ogun State. C, petition by senators from Akwa Ibom State against the nomination of Mr. Lamido Yuguda as Director General of Security and State Commission, SSEC, instead of nominating Mary Udok, who was already serving as acting Director General at the Commission. D, petition from Oshoto Yeshegun Kaudi against Nigerian Correctional Service for erroneously including his name on the determined list of senior officers of the service. And finally, Mr. President, E, petition from Finian Tobias Okoro on behalf of 26 other lecturers of Nigerian Maritime University, Okeren Koko, whose appointment were allegedly terminated by the university without justifiable cause. Mr. President, I move that these 5 reports be considered by the Senate of Federal Republic. So move.
I need a seconder. Distinguished Senator James Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. My highly respected colleagues, James Ibio, Manager, Delta South. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my chairman that he be allowed to give presentation to present the report as you read them out. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, present the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name remains Senator Akinyele, representing Ondo Central, and chairman of this special committee of the Senate of Federal Republic. Report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition in respect of petition from DSC Ibrahim Magari against the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps for alleged threat to his life, conspiracy to eliminate him, assault, intimidation, torture, and unwarranted long detention. Mr. President, the Senate will recall on Tuesday, 8 October 2019, the chairman of this committee rose on Order 41, and on behalf of the Senate President, drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from DSC Ibrahim Magari Usman against the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps for alleged threat to his life, conspiracy to eliminate him, assault, intimidation, defamation, torture, and unwarranted long detention, and urge the Senate to look into the matter. Mr. President, the committee sat, received submission from both parties, and come up with the following findings and observations. Finding and observation on page 7. Findings, observation and findings, Mr. President. After carefully going through the submission, oral and written of both parties, the committee noted as follows. 1. that DSC Ibrahim Usman Magari had left Maiduguri, his place of post, since 2018 without permission, claiming that he left his station for fear of being killed and was still being paid by the cops. B2, that there was something substantially wrong with DSC Ibrahim Magari attitude to work as a member of a parliamentary body such as the DNSCDC. But unfortunately, he had escaped punishment for more than a year and has consistently been receiving salary up to date. And 3, that based on his admission before the committee, that he had left work in 2018 and was still collecting salary, and also that he actually went into the intelligence department and snapped photographs and videoed the contents of that office, which in itself tantamount to a breach of public service rule. He deserved to be dismissed from the NCDC without further consideration. Recommendation. The committee, after careful examination of oral and submission of both petitioner and respondent, recommend as follows. That the Deputy Superintendent of Court, DPC Ibrahim Usman Magari, be dismissed from service with immediate effect, in line with recommendation of the Senior Staff Disciplinary Committee of the Board of Civil Defense, Fire, Immigration, and Prison Services for approval, and official commission to the court for implementation, for bringing the name of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps into disrepute, and for absenting himself from duty for over 6 months, while still receiving salary and yet seriously engaged in the publication of a defamatory statement that had brought the name of the corps into disreputation in the eyes of right-thinking members of the society at large. And 2, that his car and handset under the custody of the corps be released to him while his salaries and allowances being paid till now without service render be stopped forthwith. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, on behalf of the Senate Committee on Ethics and Cooperation, I hereby use this medium to appreciate the Senate President and the United Senate for the opportunity given to us to serve in this capacity as the voice of the voiceless Nigeria. I so submit for consideration on my paper.
Any comments before we go to the recommendations? But Mr. Chairman, let me get it right. Was he dismissed?
Was in the service for more than 8 months, receiving salaries, and later the boss sacked and dismissed him.
Your findings showed that due process and due diligence were done. Okay, distinguished colleagues, we go to the recommendation on page 8. There are 2 recommendations there. The first recommendation by the committee is that Deputy Superintendent of Corps DPC Ibrahim Usman Magari be dismissed from service with immediate effect in line with the recommendation of the Senior Staff Disciplinary Committee to the Board of Civil Defense, Fire, Immigration and Prison Services for approval and official communication to the Corps for implementation for bringing the name of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps into disrepute and for absenting himself from duty for over 6 months while still receiving salaries and yet seriously engaged in the publication of defamatory statements that have brought the name of the Corps into disrepute in the eyes of right-thinking members of the society at large. Those in favor of recommendation 1? Yes, Senator Ajibola, you are raising your hand.
Thank you, Mr. President. With all respect, I think in line with the provision of the Constitution that enjoin us to observe constitutional provisions on right to fair hearing and due procedure, I've looked at the findings and then the recommendations. With respect, I refer to page 8, the paragraph 3 there, that based on this admission, before the committee that he had left work since 2018 and was still collecting salaries, and also that he actually went into the intelligence department and snapped photographs and videoed the content of that office, which in itself tantamount to a breach of public service rules. It deserves to be dismissed from the NCDC without further consideration. With respect, this is a finding which I don't think the committee, that's our own committee, is competent to make such findings without a specific fair hearing. Then on page 7, Mr. President, of the report, it was stated in paragraph 6 on page 7 that his case had been dealt with by the Senior Staff Disciplinary Committee and had been recommended for dismissal. And that same recommendation has also been forwarded from the Office of the Commandant General of the Corps for consideration by the Board of Civil Defense, Fire, Immigration, and Prisons, but that the board was yet to write the Corps on its decision. My first observation is that paragraph 6, recommendation by the Senior Staff Disciplinary Committee, is sit on the same ground as our own Committee on Petition is referring to on paragraph 3 on page 8, which, if that is the case, it should have been properly spelled out and presented. Otherwise, it would be that aside and independent of the Senior Staff Disciplinary Committee, for the reason we do not know, our own committee is now also adducing specific reasons which has to do with breach of public service rule. And secondly, too, by the law of that of those agencies, the final authority to take decision on discipline of member is the Board of Civil Defense, Fire, Immigration, and Prison. What I think will follow in terms of sequential and logical treatment of paragraph 6 on page 7 is for our committee to make recommendation, for the board to take a decision on the recommendation already forwarded it. Which decision will be fettered if we adopt the recommendation as it were. So there will be a need, Mr. President, to modify that recommendation 1 as it is. It will be ultra-virus the work of the committee. It may be tantamount to fundamental breach of fundamental rights of the petitioner, and also particularly paragraph 3 of the recommendation, paragraph 3 of the observation and finding needs to be synchronized with paragraph 6 on page 7 of the report. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. I think, first of all, I believe that from the report, it's not the committee that is recommending for this person to be dismissed. The person has been recommended for dismissal by the board. So what I expect, but the chairman will confirm, because the committee, our committee here, cannot recommend someone for dismissal without the jurisdiction of doing that. This is a civil service matter, and if the due process has been followed leading to his dismissal, what our committee needs to do is, if it found that due process was followed, fair hearing was given, then we uphold the dismissal. That is I think the position of the law. So the chairman should explain to us, was he given the fair hearing, was due process followed? That was why I asked him in the first place. Were there any grounds for us to doubt the process? If not, if this man was sacked, I think we should just uphold what the board has done. So, Chairman, please throw more light on this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just in line with your explanation, Mr. President, you see, the committee found him wanting, and we discovered that due process was duly followed by the board.
The due process followed to, it led to what?
the recommendation of the senior statutory committee of the board decided. So we found him guilty. Somebody who had absconded for months.
No, you don't have to say you found him guilty.
For board to dismiss him. It was after that he now came to the Senate. So after coming to the Senate, we also...
Was the recommendation was to who? Was the recommendation accepted?
Implementation for bringing the name of the Nigeria Security Defense into this application. So that particular position was affirmed by the board. And therefore, we have no reason to doubt because we also affirm what they also affirm.
No, what I'm saying is, was the recommendation accepted and he was therefore dismissed? He was dismissed. Okay. Senator Chimaroke Enama.
Thank you, President of the Senate. My name is Chimaroke Enamani, and I represent Enugu East Senatorial Zone. I rise to object to the use of language, immediate effect.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I rise to object to the use of language, immediate effect. I find it not people-friendly and inconsistent with a democratic ethos and civil language. Immediate effect. We should not be saying immediate effect in a democracy.
Okay, Deputy Chief, you have something to say on this?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. The point I just want to raise is from the proposal raised by my distinguished brother, the Senate spokesman. Mr. President, the issue we handle here is not a purely judicial process like he wants to put it. And when we look at what we do in terms of fair hearing, the petitioner is the man who is complaining, and he was brought before this, our distinguished committee. He gave his facts, and the respondent in this case is the commission, that is the Civil Defense Corps, and they also came to testify. So I think it's not good when that has been established for us to say there is no fair hearing. Because fair hearing is to say that somebody who is being accused is not given any chance whatsoever to state his own case. He actually was the petitioner, and he did petition on the basis of which the court was invited to come and respond, and he was also there. I believe, Mr. Chairman, that is the procedure where you invite those who petition and those who have been petitioned to appear before your committee. I just want us to establish that, because that is a practice, so that it shouldn't be made to appear as if when our ethics committee work, there is tendency that they are not given fair hearing. I don't think that is correct.
Okay, distinguished colleagues, can we just conclude on this, because we have a long list of reports from this committee. I think it is established here beyond any reasonable doubt that there was fair hearing. And we have also established beyond any reasonable doubt that due process was followed. And also that the recommendation was accepted and this man was dismissed. We have established a fact here in the Senate, in this Senate particularly, that when due process is followed in disciplining civil servants or public servants, and we are satisfied that that everything necessary was done, then we should uphold the actions taken by these agencies. Otherwise, people will just come here and try to make us believe that everything was wrong. So based on this, we'll put this into vote on the recommendation. Yes, Senator Jiang.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I would still want to bring our attention to what Senator Jibola raised, as it has to do with the pending decision of the board. And the report says here, President and distinguished colleagues, but that the board was yet to write the call on its decision. So the process has not yet been concluded. And it is necessary that before we could finally resolve on this matter, that this outstanding action of the procedure that is yet to be complied with, which is the highest decision-making body on this matter, it has not yet given its position. So we would be going ahead of the decision of the board. If the board now comes up with a contrary position, we would be, our decision would have been faulted. Under the circumstance, Mr. President, I would recommend that we stand down this report to await the decision of the board so that our community will be properly guided on the recommendation that will be brought before this hallowed chamber. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chairman, I think you need to explain this thing properly, please.
Sir, this is what, at the time we gave this over 1 year ago. Most of this have been taken over 1 year ago, and our committee report was not considered. As of today, the board has given a decision. At the time we wrote this report,
The board has taken a decision by dismissing, upholding the recommendation. No, let's be clear, because this is somebody's life. So just explain this thing properly.
confirm the position of...
Okay, I think we'll just put it down. We stand down the consideration of this report pending further legislative action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. The second report, the report of Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition in respect of the petition from Bambo Adesanya, SAN, on behalf of Right Foods Limited against 7 Public Company PSC and Ziad Malouf for allegedly threatening the internal security of the nation and the City of Right Food Limited, also Ogun State. Mr. President, the Senate will recall that on Wednesday, 29 January 2020, Rising Order 41, Senator Olaleka Aru Mustafa Ogun-East drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from Bambo Adesanya, SA, on behalf of Life Food Limited against 7 Public Company PSC and Ziad Malouf for allegedly threatening the internal security of the nation and the system of Life Food Limited, also Ogun State, and urge the Senate to look into the matter. Mr. President, the Senate, the committee, after hearing from both respondents and the petitioner, came up with the following findings and observations on page 6. After carefully listening to the petitioner and the respondent, and after studying their written submission, the committee noted as follows. 1. That in the business world, competition was inevitable and could easily spark up deep sentiment at the slightest insinuation by a rival, that there was no gainsaying that both parties were rivals. 2, that this sentiment could actually be true or imagined, that whatever they stood for, they must not be ignored. 3, that this factor was what informed the decision of the committee to listen to the petitioner and the respondent in a closed-door session, so that their business secret and whatever misgiving they had would not be exposed, as this could end up ruining the business of both parties. 4, that the actual cause of the rift between the Right Food and 7 Up
was the strong word contained in the email where 7-Up vowed that at the end of that war, it will become a cause for anyone to start his own brand in Nigeria, just as Life Food had. And 5, that the committee was glad, after mediating between the two in a closed-door session, that they amicably resolved to pursue their businesses, adopting strategies that will give them a fair share of the market to do their business, and all fares were allayed. 6, that after the 2 weeks set by the Senate Committee for Amicable Resolution of the issues raised in the question between the two major players in the soft drink industry, both management came up with common position of being satisfied with advice of the Senate to go all out henceforth and improve their marketing strategies to significantly compete favorably and increase their market share in the interest of growing the economy of the nation. Recommendation. Based on the above observation, the committee hereby recommends as follows. That the Senate do appreciate and commend the management of 7-Up Poultry Company PLC and Red Foods Limited for accepting an amicable resolution of the matter through alternative dispute resolution ADR adopted by the Senate, thereby saving the soft drink industry for a major hiccup and devastation that will have robbed the industry, nation, and its people. 2, that the Senate do strongly advise the management of both companies, 7-Up Bottling Company and Rice Food Limited, to intensify efforts and improve their marketing strategies and techniques in order to achieve increase in their market share in the industry, thus leading to engagement of more Nigerians in their employment to boost the economy of the nation. Mr. President, I so move. Thank you.
Any comments? Let's go to the recommendations then. Recommendations on page 7, that the Senate do appreciate and commend the management of 7-Up Bottling Company PLC and Right Foods Limited for accepting an amicable resolution of the matter through alternative dispute resolution adopted by the Senate, thereby saving the soft drink sector from a major hiccup and devastation that would have rocked the industry, nation, and its people. Those who heard this recommendation say aye. Those against any, ayes. Recommendation 2, that the Senate do strongly advise the management of both companies, 7-Up Bottling Company and Rights Food Limited, to intensify efforts and improve their marketing strategies and techniques in order to achieve increase in their market share in the industry, thus leading to engagement of more Nigerians in their employment to boost the economy of the nation. Those in favor of this recommendation say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Next report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next report is the report of Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition. In respect of the petition by Senators from Akwa Ibom State against the nomination of Mr. Lamido Yuguda as Director General of Secretary and Exchange Commission, SEC, instead of nominating Mary Udok, who was already serving as acting Director General of the Commission. Preamble. The Senate will recall that on Tuesday, 2nd June 2020, Senator Albert B. Akwan, Akwa Ibom Northeast, drew the attention of the Senate to a petition by Senators from Akwa Ibom State against the nomination of Mr. Lamido A. Yagudu as Director General of Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, instead of nominating Mary Udok, who was already serving as acting Director General at the Commission at that time, and urged the Senate to look at the matter. The committee met and came out with the following findings and submissions on page 3. The committee wrote the petitioner and responded, and on receipt of the letter, quickly met and resolved their position and informed the committee of their position on the matter. The petitioner, 3 serving senators from Akwa Ibom. In their petition before the committee, the 3 senators represented by Senator Abak stated as follows, that they were seeking the urgent intervention of the Senate to ensure that good people of Akwa Ibom were not further marginalized in matters of federal appointment, arguing that the appointments so far made by the federal government appear lopsided, as only 2 of such appointments have benefited persons from Akwa Ibom State. That Akwa Ibom people were thinking that a 3rd appointment was nearby, as Merudo, who had already worked over 35 years, over 30 years with SEC, and recently been appointed acting Director General, will be appointed DG. That this was all the more reason that they were disappointed. There were disappointment when they noted that Merudo's name was not among the list of board members appointed by SEC, recently submitted to the Senate for confirmation. That it was disheartening that Merudo, who was eminently qualified to be appointed DG of SEC, having represented Nigeria at regional and international bodies, such as West Africa Capital Market Integration Council, WAMIC, and currently on the board of the International Organization of SEC Commission, AUSCO, the International Standard Setter for Security Regulation, was neither listed as DG nor as full-time commissioner, and therefore appeal to the leader of the Senate to look into the systematic disenfranchisement of Akwa Ibom people in federal appointment. Final observation on page 5. After carefully listening to the 2 Securities and Exchange Commission appointees and their mature discussion and review of the matter, the committee noted as follows. 1. That the acting Director General and the newly appointed DG both deserve the commendation of the committee, and the committee therefore went ahead to commend them orally. And 2. That consequently the appointment of Mr. Lamido Yabudu by the President as DG of SEC be sustained. Recommendation. That based on the observation above, the appointment of Mr. Lamido A. Yuguda as DG SEC be sustained, while the acting DG Mary Udo be allowed to retire as a substantive DG with immediate effect. Yes. Mr. President, I so move for approval by the Senate. Thank you.
Well, before I ask for comments, I think our colleagues from Akwa Ibom stood up here and said they were supporting, they were withdrawing the petition, and the Senate could go ahead. They were in support of the nomination. But of course, they made their case that in due course, Akwa Ibom should be considered for federal government appointments. Senator Albert Bassi, is that correct?
Mr. President, I think you are in order, but as we speak, nothing has been forthcoming for the people of Akwa Ibom. So we are still appealing.
No, I think we are saying the same thing. Maybe not with immediate effect, but the Senator Albert, all I want to establish is what I thought you people said, our colleagues from Akwa Ibom. And if that was the case, this petition itself, this report shouldn't have been, because they withdrew their petition and gave their support. So there is no need of even inviting those that were invited, the man who is serving now as DG and the one that was retired. I think there was no need for that. So, Mr. Chairman, maybe you have a different information. Okay.
See, when this was referred to the committee, we invited them. It was thereafter the result I informed the committee. And since the
result for what? Because they were not the petitioners. The petitioners are our colleagues.
The acting DG be retired as what? As a substantive DG. Why the other?
As substantive? No, that must be a request, maybe, but not within our purview. We can't say you should go and retire this as substantive. That is not a legislative function, it's an executive function. Distinguished Senator Albert. Okay. Well done. Thank you very much. Okay, so we go to the recommendations then, because since it was given to you, the petition was given to you, you will need to report. But maybe it would have been just our colleagues had withdrawn the petition and something like that. I don't know. So we go to the recommendation that based on the observations above, the appointment of Mr. Lamido A. Yuguda as DG Securities and Exchange Commission SEC be sustained. Well, the acting DG Mary Udog be allowed to retire as substantive DG with immediate effect. I don't know, Chairman. So, Chairman, I think there are two issues here. The Akwa Ibom caucus of the Senate was saying the appointment should have gone to Akwa Ibom, to Mary, but it didn't, because that is a political appointment anyway. It's not career, this thing. So now that it has not gone, they appealed that Akwa Ibom should be considered for federal government appointments in the future. I think this idea of saying this lady should be retired as substantive DG is not our function. I don't think so. But maybe I should invite those who know better the civil service to say something. So, Chairman, do you still insist on this? Huh?
Thank you, Mr. President. I will now say, based on the observation above, the appointment of Mr. Lamido A. Yagudu as a DG Secretary and Secretary be sustained. That's recommendation 1. Number 2, that Akwa Ibom be considered in further appointment by Mr. President.
I still have issue with this, we be sustained, because they are not asking for, nobody is saying the man should be sacked. So why are we saying it should be sustained? Is it our role to say it should be sustained? Senator John's manager, I just want us to have a clean this thing.
I think, Mr. Chairman, sir, what is there, the committee notes that the matter has been resolved. The resolution is this way, and the committee is urging Senate to also note that the matter has been resolved. I think that is where we are. But we have no authority to approve anything here, because it's a purely civil service matter. Thank you.
Senator Sam Egu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sam Egu from Ebonyi North. I think my argument was going to be along that line, that the report be stepped down or withdrawn because it has been overtaken by event. That event was the resolution that the issue shouldn't go further again, instead of entering into an area that will create more controversy.
Well, I wouldn't mind seconding or asking someone to second the position of Senator John's manager, because I think it's putting it in the right perspective that our colleagues have withdrawn their petition, and that they have also requested that the federal government should consider Akwa Ibom State for further any future federal government appointments. I think that will be Senator Muhammad Adamu Bulkachu.
Mr. President, my name is Adamu Muhammad Bulkachua from Bauchi North Senatorial District. I think this matter should die from the time that the Akwa Ibom colleagues of ours who initially petitioned have withdrawn. So even the consideration of this matter in the committee was irrelevant. And I think this should be expunged from our records as if it never happened. Because the issue has been resolved already, the people who petitioned have withdrawn their petition. So why should the committee go ahead and still even suggest something which is not within our powers to do? So I think, Mr. President, the chairman of the Ethics Committee should withdraw this portion of his report.
Okay, I think there is a procedural issue here. Because the Senate was asked, the committee was asked to go and do this work, they are supposed to report whatever it is. But I think the way Senator James Manager put it, that should be the recommendation actually. Senator Ali Mohammed Ndume, sorry.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate gave responsibility to our colleague and they sat down there and did their best. And the wisdom behind bringing the report to the Senate is to look at it the way you made your observation. I think you are being a little bit reserved. See, we can suggest that since the issue has been resolved, this report is no longer useful, and that should be the decision of the Senate, and then we drop the report. But the petition was handed over to the committee to work on. As you rightly say, they have written their report. It's at the discretion of the Senate now to do whatever they want with the report. And I agree with you that since the matter has been resolved, this report is no longer necessary. The Senate can put a vote, take a vote on it to say we withdraw it, and that's it.
Well, I think slightly otherwise. I am still sticking with the submission by Senator James Manager. The report is appropriate because we asked this committee to go and look into a matter. So it's only appropriate procedurally that the committee comes back with a report, whatever it is. This report is supposed to be the Akwa Ibom caucus has withdrawn its petition. The caucus had also asked for consideration for Akwa Ibom in future federal government appointments. I think that should be it. And we can't just say we throw the report, because we need the report. It's supposed to be the completion of our records on what happened on that particular issue. So I would suggest that we just maybe amend the recommendation to what Senator James Manager, Deputy Leader.
For theoretical purposes, I just want to find out from the chairman whether the Akwa Ibom group actually withdrew their petition and it's on record.
Yeah, it's supposed to be on record because they did it here. They did it here in plenary. Yes. So, well, I think we should have the report, but maybe the recommendation should be amended. The Senator James Manager suggested something. Is there? Oh, he wants to call Senator I.D. Jiang.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I remain Senator I.D. Jiang of Plateau North. A consequent upon the motion that the Senate should note that the petitioners withdrew their petition and that the committee has equally noted the withdrawal of that petition, that the Senate also notes that the petition was withdrawn. I therefore second the motion moved by distinguished Senator Manager. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, so we have only one recommendation. Senator James Manager, maybe you write it for the records. Those in favor of the recommendation as amended, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Next report, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, Senator Yoaki, representing Ondo Central. Next from Mr. President is the report of Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition in respect of petition from Oshotoye Shegun Kayode against Nigerian Correctional Service for erroneously including his name on the determined list of senior officers of the service. Preamble. The Senate will recall that on Tuesday, 2nd June 2020, Senator Kola A. Balogun, Oyo South, rose on Order 41 and drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from Oshotoye Shegun Kayode against Nigeria Correctional Service for erroneously including his name on the retirement list of senior officers of the service in 2016 and urge the Senate to look into the matter. After careful submission of the both oral and written submission of the respondent and the Nigerian Correctional Service, the following are the observation of the committee. After careful study, the presentation and submission of the petitioner and the respondent, the Nigerian Correctional Service, the committee observed as follows. One, that the petitioner named Oshotoye Shegun was actually erroneously included in the list of senior officers on Compass 08 of the Nigerian Correctional Service that had written resignation letter before they presented false certificate to the service. That the retirement of Oshotoye Shegun, a junior officer of Compass 06, was based on error, as stated below, as stated above, and that the Nigerian Correctional Service later identified the error and agreed to correct it and reinstate the officer. Recommendation. Based on the finding above, the committee hereby recommends as follows: that Senate commend the Controller General of Nigerian Correctional Service for accepting responsibility for the error and for agreeing to reinstate Oshotoye Shegun Kayode with effect from the date he was mistakenly retired, and to promote and pay him all his entitlements so as to be at par with his colleague. Two, that the Senate do urge the Board of Customs, Immigration, Civil Defense, and Correctional Service to approve the recommendation of the Controller General for the reinstatement of Oshotoye Shegun Kayode together with the payment of all his outstanding and entitlements and promote him accordingly. I so move for consent.
Any comments, recommendations? There are two recommendations on page 5 of the report. Recommendation 1, that the Senate commend the Controller General of the Nigeria Correctional Service. I think the spelling of controller, because this is going to our records, the spelling of controller is not correct there. The secretariat is com. Okay, so secretariat, please. That the Senate do commend the Controller General of the Nigeria Correctional Service for accepting responsibility for the error and for agreeing to reinstate Oshotoye Shegun Kayode with effect from the date he was mistakenly retired, and to promote and pay him all his entitlements so as to be at par with his colleagues. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. And recommendation 2, that the Senate do urge the Board of Customs, Immigration, Civil Defense, and Correctional Service to approve the recommendation of the Controller General for the reinstatement of Oshotoye Shegun Kayode together with payment of all his outstanding entitlements and promotions accordingly. Those in favor of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Well, let me commend the officer for accepting his fault, but that also gives the indication that maybe someone did not do a thorough job by including the name of Oshotoye Shegun Kayode on the list. So while commending them for accepting to correct their mistakes, they must continue to do due diligence in the operations they conduct in their organizations. Next and last report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The last report is the report of Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Protection in respect of a petition from Finian Tobias Okoro on behalf of 20 other lecturers of the Nigerian Maritime University, Okere Koko, whose appointment were allegedly terminated by the university without justifiable cause. The Senate will recall that on Wednesday, 6 November 2019, Chairman of this committee rose on under 41 to lay petition referred to his committee from the office of the office of the President of the Senate, and drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from Finian Tobias Okoro on behalf of 26 other lecturers of the university, Nigerian Maritime University, whose appointment were allegedly terminated by the university without justifiable cause, and now decided to look into the matter. Mr. President, after inviting both petitioners and respondents, the committee came up with the following findings and recommendations. Findings on page 8. After carefully scrutinizing the submission of the petitioner and the respondent, the committee noted as follows. 1. That the petitioner were actually recruited into the Nigerian Maritime University after a thorough competitive exercise ranging from applying for the job based on the vacancies advertised in the Nigerian dailies in November 2017, written examination, oral interviews, and verification of their credentials. 2. That the appointment of the petitioners into the Nigerian Maritime University was conducted by a governing council of the university, with professors drawn from various universities in the country, with Mr. Owojaye Samsi, a representative of the Federal Character Commission, and Professor Shinedu Mafiana, a deputy executive secretary of the National University Commission, who were both disengaged from the service after 1 year and 4 months by the council committee without any form of written query, warning, or appearing before any disciplinary committee. That the school governing council, that the university governing council was not properly constituted because it only comprised 5 external members with no internal member to represent the interests of the staff. 4. That the termination of the petitioner's appointment did not follow due process, and over 400 staff were employed by the school management without advertising for the position or conducting any form of interview or test after the petitioner's disengagement. Recommendation. Based on the findings above, the committee hereby recommend that Fabian Tobias Okoro and 20 others, university lecturers, be reinstated as appropriate back to service in line with their qualification because the termination of their appointment did not follow due process. 2. That all their salaries and allowance due to them be paid. I so move, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay, before I take comments, let me ask you this, Chairman. In the report, especially in the findings, and in the findings, the word school governing council has been used twice or 3 times. Is school referring to the university? No, then it should be properly reflected because this is our record. So it should be properly reflected, Secretariat. Yeah, it should be University Governing Council and University Management on pages 8 and 9. Then when the University Governing Council appeared, did they come with condition of service, whether the university could terminate the appointment of any staff without necessarily a query or any engagement with the staff before they are dismissed from service or something?
Then this is what made the committee to conclude that their termination did not follow due process.
No, that's not the answer to the question. You see, the condition of service will reflect whether this university can just disengage without any fault of anyone, or no, is that what, did they give you the condition of service? No, no submission. The condition of service should clearly spell out this, because if the condition of service does not provide for this kind of outright action, then due process has not been followed. But if the condition of service provides that they can be disengaged, okay, it's all right, please take your seat. Senator James Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues. James Manager, Delta South. Mr. President, you have asked some very fundamental questions, because in the first place, when an appointment does not follow due process, then termination could also not follow due process. And in the civil service, I have never been a civil servant in my life, but you, who was once a staff of a university, You were a lecturer in the university community, so you understand these things better than I do. And those who have retired from the civil service, when you are recruited, just like you said, the conditions of service. When you are recruited, I think there's a period for probation before your appointment can be permanent. Those are things that the committee ordinarily is supposed to find out. Whether or not it was after permanenting the appointment of these lecturers before these outright termination came about. These are some of the issues that must be thrown up. I don't know, the chairman of the committee maybe would want...
Let's hear from a former Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Sam Egwu, I represent Ebonyi North. Mr. President, in appointment of lecturers in universities, there are some people that must be there in the panel, the interview panel. The council, university council members must be there. Representative of NUC must be there. And then representative of the Ministry of Education. And from what was reported by the chairman, they were all represented. Mr. President, let us not create the impression that some people are not needed in certain parts of the country. If you look at page 9, number 4 item in the findings, that the moment they were terminated, people that were duly employed, 400 other staff without any form of due process were employed to replace them in the same country. Mr. President, I think that Senate is a place where we have to make sure things are done rightly, and I think the committee has done a good job. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, why I've been insisting on condition of service? I passed through a process to be a staff of a federal university some years back. I was given an initial appointment and I had to go through probation, a period, after which I can now be given my permanent appointment, so unpensionable. So now I just want us to get this straight, because this is about people's livelihood. In the condition of service, were they required to go through a probation period? And how long is that period? And when they were just dismissed or disengaged, was it in compliance with that condition of service or probation or something? If we don't have answers, Chairman, because this is so important to people's lives, we better step down the consideration of the report. You get more information so that whatever decision we take is the kind of decision that will be just and fair and enforceable. Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, Niger North. Mr. President, you actually spoke part of what I'm concerned about. And I think when I looked at the report, there is need for us to consider stepping this down for further legislative work. And the further legislative work will be for the committee to invite NUC to give them their own side of the story to this particular exercise. And to also ask the Ministry of Education, the Federal Ministry of Education, to give them their own side of the story about this. Because it's an appointment, and somebody is saying, and because from what I've seen here, it's just those who are petitioned and then the response from the university. So the information given the parties involved in the decision we are going to consider, I think there are people who are very critical and they are left out. So I would suggest that we step this down for further legislative action by way of getting the committee to write the NUC to give them their own side of the story with respect to this, and then the Federal Ministry of Education to give them, the Civil Service Commission are not part of this. It's the NUC and then the Federal Ministry of Education. So if they can give them their own side of the story with respect to this, in doing that also, the issue of the condition under which they are employed will be stated, because even though the condition of service is always there, the appointment letter is supposed to tell you whether you are going to be on probation for this and that. That is the standard appointment letter for those kind of levels. So,
Chairman.
All this thing will be a repetition of work. These people were invited. The VC and the governing council were invited. I even invited the NUC executive secretary to a closed session on this matter to get to the root of the matter. The final thing is because we are not magicians in the committee, is based on papers before us. We have examined the letter of all these boys. They have fulfilled all righteousness. And I invited the executive secretary, the VC in my office, the registrar in my office. There's no justification to serve these people. And they should be reinstated back to service. And if after they were duly appointed and they followed due process and everything, and after they serve them, they don't want to see their face, they started other people that didn't follow due process. That one is another day, it's not my business. But that these people were duly appointed, but they were wrongly asked to leave. We has examined their letters upon one after the other. We find them qualified as Nigeria to work in their university. And that's why the committee and the voice of Nigeria is recommended to the Senate and Plenary for confirmation that these people be returned back to work, sir. Thank you.
Senator Chimoroken Namani.
Thank you, President of the Senate. Chimoroken Namani, Enugu East Senatorial Zone. I want to lend my voice that the Senate do accept the recommendation of this committee. While they were duly hired, they were unduly fired. They were fired by a council committee comprising of 2 external members and university management. This report is highly exhaustive. If it is necessary to move a motion, I move that we adopt this committee report and pray for secondance. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm really concerned because I just want us to be properly guided. I still feel we must establish from the condition of service. If they have passed probation, then definitely they should be re-engaged. If they have not gone beyond the period of probation, what is the process? What is the due process that is supposed to be followed to disengage them? Because in your appointment letter, initial appointment letter, it will be clearly stated that you will undergo a number of months or maybe a year or so of probation period. So how are you supposed to be disengaged if the institution, if the university is not satisfied? Chairman, I don't know whether you have a copy of the condition of service or the appointment letters from the 26th. Because from the appointment letters, you will see. Yes. Senator Ibrahim Olorogbeha.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ibrahim Olorogbeha, Kwara Central. I rise to align myself with your submission, Mr. President. The page 7 of this report actually alluded.
Sorry, Ogun and Oyo State executives. This is Southwest Governance Forum. Please.
Sorry, Mr. President, sir, page 7 of their report, paragraph 4.2b said, in terms of the response provided by the university administration, that the National University Commission came up with the decision that special universities should run special program which made the university to carry out regularization, and that when the files of the petitioners who are still on probation then were brought, they found that some of them did not fit into the system. So it is aligning with your point that the committee to look at the condition of service. These staff were still on probation as at the time the admission was done. What is the probationary condition? Were not provided. The other one is that C also specifically mentioned the issue of regularization of some of the staff. So they just treated all of it together. you may be appointed. When you're on probation, the condition for your termination will be stated because you have not been confirmed. This is why I'm saying I want to suggest that the committee should look further into these issues, and we need to step down this report. Thank you.
Senator Ode Stephen Adi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Ode Stephen Adi, representing Cross River North. I want to align with the submission by Mr. President. If you look at page 5 of the report, paragraph 7 of it, that when they inquired to know why their appointments were terminated, they were told that their qualifications were not needed in the institution, citing item number 4 of the condition of appointment in their employment letters, which stated that while on probation, the appointment might be terminated if they fail to meet the conditions of service while they were interviewed by professors in various fields set up by the university management and were found fit and proper. Now, from the condition of service, you know whether the appointment was casual, whether it was statutory or not. If it was not statutory appointment, the university institution can terminate the appointment if they were not confirmed. So I'm of the opinion that this report, we should stand down this report and critically examine the condition of service and then come out with a decision that will be far-reaching. I so submit, Mr. President.
Yeah, I think we have to round up on this. Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry I'm coming back again. Then the first time I only asked a question, but this is a contribution very briefly. Mr. President and my respected colleagues, the functions of these particular committees is the pseudo-judicial function. It's not a court of law. And therefore, we are very conscious of resolutions that we take here. Resolutions that can be enforced. Resolutions that can be respected by those who are supposed to enforce them. And that's the reason why we are being thorough in this particular place. So, Mr. President, because of the type of functions that we perform here, when we agree and when we approve a particular thing, we want that particular approval to be enforced by the relevant authorities. Because Nigerians are a very difficult people, with due respect to all of us. Even when the High Court has given the decision, approved by a court of appeal, and also affirmed by the Supreme Court, to enforce the decision of a Supreme Court is a problem to Nigeria. So what we do here, because of the pseudo-function, judicial function we perform here, we need to be very thorough so that these things can be enforced. And that's the reason why we are insisting. Mr. Chairman, I want you to understand. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. So I think maybe to make sure double, we should have a copy of the appointment letters because we want to be fully and properly guided. If we are saying they should be taken back, we should be guided by the appointment, the conditions of employment. If we are rejecting, if we are saying what the University Governing Council did was right, that is to uphold the disengagement, we should be backed by something that is that will stand even court actions. So, Chairman, maybe we'll take this another time so that we take a final decision, please. Leader of the Senate. So, somebody has to move for that the report be stood down till another list, or you can do that yourself and then somebody seconds it.
Well, in view of various comments and observations by the Senate, I move that the report be stood down for further legislative actions. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Can someone second, please? Deputy Chief Whip.
I second, Mr. President.
Those in favor of the motion that the consideration of the report be stood down till another legislature will say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The fourth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of Senator Ibrahim Yahaya Oloriegbe and Senator Suleiman Sadiq Umar on the need to regulate the manufacturing, importation and use of syringes and needles to protect the lives and safety of Nigerians as well as the economy of the country. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Ibrahim Yahaya Oloriegbe to move the motion.
Senator Ibrahim Yahaya Oloriegbe.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. The motion is titled, "The Need to Regulate the Manufacturing, Importation, and Use of Syringe and Needles to Protect the Lives and Safety of Nigeria, as well as the economy of the country." Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate is aware that syringes and needles are essential medical products used for the administration of drugs parenterally, that is either through the vein or through the muscles or under the skin, to save human lives. It's also used for the collection of blood samples for purpose of laboratory tests and in some surgical procedures. The Senate is also aware that if not sterilized and of the right quality, the use of syringe and needles could cause disease and even death to a patient. Hence, instead of being a life-saving instrument, it becomes a danger to the patient. The Senate is further aware that syringe and needles manufacturing is a very strategic industry for national development, particularly in the health sector, and is also of great importance in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals on good health, which is SDG 3, and good job and economic growth, SDG 8. The syringe manufacturing industry is a developing sector in Nigeria, and currently we have about 7 existing manufacturing factories cut across the nation. The Senate notes that investment in the subsector is estimated to be about 64 billion naira, with a potential market value of about 100 billion naira that could be created locally, engaging about 3,000 Nigerians directly and saving Nigeria about $450 million in foreign exchange requirement per annum. The Senate further notes that the estimated requirement of syringe and needle in the country is between 1.5 to 2 billion units per annum. And the Senate notes that certified and approved local manufacturers of syringe and needles in Nigeria by National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has capacity to produce about 1.6 billion units per annum, with a potential to produce 2.4 billion units per annum if provided with favorable business environment. The Senate is worried that despite this capacity, an estimated over 1 billion units per annum of syringe and needles are being imported in the country, making the country to lose huge foreign exchange. And the Senate is further worried that the majority of the imported syringes and needles are substandard or sterile. That is, they are used and reverse syringes from Asia continent, hence endangering the lives, the health and safety of Nigerians. The Senate is therefore concerned that despite the introduction of 75% import duties on imported syringes and needles, the Customs Department is not enforcing this, thus enabling mass importation of cheap, substandard and unsterilized syringe and needle. This action is killing the local manufacturers, making them to lay off staff and preventing them from contributing effectively to the economy. The Senate is further concerned that the plan to establish and implement a backward integration policy to fill the gap between need and local production by the Ministry of Trade and Investment has not been given the desired necessary action. This has contributed to the indiscriminate importation and killing of the local manufacturing efforts. And the Senate is more concerned that the Federal Ministry of Health, which is the beneficiary agencies or the controlling beneficiary agency, does not have an effective policy on the procurement and utilization of syringes and needles by the federally owned hospitals and agencies. This has led to federally owned hospitals and agencies to sometimes themselves procure and use substandard syringes and needles in their center. The Senate therefore accordingly resolved to direct its Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary, Trade and Investment, and Customs to conduct investigation on the state of manufacturing, importation, and policy guidelines for syringe and needle in Nigeria by inviting the Federal Ministry of Health, NAFDAC, Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, the Nigerian Custom, the manufacturer of syringe and needles, and any other relevant persons or body. And two, direct its Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary to invite the Federal Ministry of Health to provide explanation on the policy for the procurement and utilization of syringe and needles by federally owned hospitals and agencies of the ministry. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Sadiq Suleiman.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North. We all are. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my own brother and colleague, distinguished Senator Ibrahim Yahya Oluregbe. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this motion deserves very serious attention because this motion seeks to regulate the importation, manufacturing, and use of needles and syringes. And this directly relates to two key elements of our society life, the health of our people and our economy. As regards the health of our people, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, needle and syringes are medical devices that must not only be safe in every sense of quality control, but must be sterile. We cannot afford this device to be at the whims and caprices of anybody. This has to be regulated. It is a health security issue. As regards the economy, Mr. President, we pay lip service to local manufacturing every day, everywhere, unemployment. We don't have foreign exchange sources and so on. And here we are, we have about 7 local manufacturing industries that have been certified, qualified. They have invested over 60 billion in this business. Yet they are left lying there with no opportunity to achieving their potential. $150 million foreign exchange is involved annually. 100 billion opportunity of business is involved. Over 3,000 direct people to be employed is involved. Over 10,000 indirect people to be employed is involved. And here we are, every day we are saying our economy is in trouble, we need to do this, we need to manufacture local, and we do nothing about all of this. Mr. President, my distinguished colleague, the solution of this problem is clear. It's a policy that is on the table. It is backward integration policy. This policy, the principle is simple. The local manufacturers that have invested their money, they've been certified by all necessary regulatory agencies in this country, are there. They have all the capacity to manufacture. We need about 2 billion syringes per annum. They can do 1.5 now. Give them the opportunity, they can do more than 2 billion. Where are we wasting time? Where are we allowing anybody to just import syringes that we can't guarantee their quality and the amount of damage being done to our citizens there? If you carry out the research, we will all be marveled. Mr. President, this principle of backward integration is simply to allow our local manufacturers to use their installed capacity so that they can get to the best capacity utilization while importing the gap so as not to disrupt the supply chain of needles and syringes, because we cannot afford that. And while they do that, there is a proportional agreement along milestones on when they will meet up all the needs in this country by manufacturing them locally as at when it is required. Mr. President, we should take this motion very seriously and do what we have to do to ensure that we grow our economy and we protect the life of our citizens. Thank you, Mr. President, for that.
Senator Chumarochi Nnaman.
Thank you, President of the Senate. Chimaroke Nnamani, Enugu East Senatorial Zone. I commend my professional colleague and the chairman of the Health committee on such a thoughtful motion. I also condemn and find it highly objectionable the importation of used and reused syringes and needles. And I believe they pose a great danger to life and security of life and safety of our people. While I support the motion wholeheartedly, I will observe that 75% import duty is high enough. I will not support any other protectionist policies, so as to allow free trade across transnational borders to encourage competition and excellence. Thank you.
We'll go to the prayers, distinguished colleagues. Prayer 1. Direct the committees on health, secondary and tertiary, trade and investment, and customs to conduct investigation on the state of manufacturing, importation, and policy guidelines for syringe and needles in Nigeria by inviting the Federal Ministry of Health, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration Control, NAFDAC, Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, Nigeria Customs Service, manufacturers of syringe and needles, and any other relevant persons or body. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. Prayer 2. Direct its Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary to invite the Federal Ministry of Health to provide explanation on the policy for the procurement and utilization of syringe and needles by federally owned hospitals and agencies of the ministry. Those in favor, Deputy Leader.
Mr. President, in the body of this motion, there are two foci. One is the economy and the other is the health of Nigerians. I wonder why the focus is on federal hospitals, because the state hospitals, the private hospitals also use syringes. And I wish the sponsor should modify this prayer.
You can suggest an amendment, if you want, to the prayer.
For use in Nigerian hospitals. Is that all right?
I think I would suggest of syringe and needles by federally and private, federally, states, and private owned hospitals and agencies of the ministry. Is that correct? Is that what you are saying? Okay, that is your amendment. Any seconder for the amendment? Yeah, the chairman himself. Okay, Senator Francis Adenigba, Father Unsi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Francis Father Unsi. I second the amendment moved by my leader that the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary, to invite the Federal Ministry of Health to provide explanation on the policy for the procurement and utilization of syringes and needles by federally, state, and privately owned hospitals and agencies of the ministry. So I support.
Those in favor of prayer 2 as amended say aye. Those against say nay. Leader of the Senate. Senator Eddie Young.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Senator I.D. Gyang, representing the very good people of Plateau North, and I'm from Plateau State. Distinguished colleagues, this is a motion that is co-sponsored by my dear brother, Senator Abiru Mukail of Lagos East. And it is on the central bank's decision to stop financial institutions from transacting in cryptocurrencies and the national debate that is arising from that decision. The Senate notes that the CBN has issued a directive stopping all financial institutions from transacting in cryptocurrencies. This is a follow-up of its earlier directive in January 2017 and February 2018, which forbade banks not to use, hold, trade, and or transact in cryptocurrencies. The Senate further notes that the decision of the CBN is said to have been predicated on the need to safeguard Nigeria's economy from the adverse effects of the current cryptocurrency regime, which are unregulated digital or virtual currencies that are issued by anonymous entities and secured by cryptography. The Senate observes that cryptography is a method of encrypting and hiding codes that prevent oversight, accountability, and regulation, upon which the CBN says its use in Nigeria violates and contravenes existing law, as only the CBN is authorized by law to issue legal tender. The Senate is concerned that cryptocurrency by nature is anchored on anonymity, obscurity, and concealment of its patrons and actors, making it difficult, if not impossible, to trace, track, and uncover those that may deploy it for ignoble and illegal usage, such as money laundering, terrorism financing, drug purchase, cyber crimes, etc. The Senate, being aware that the action and directive of the CBN has attracted sharp reactions from Nigerians and has become a topical subject of national discourse. And the Senate realizes that cryptocurrency is both an opportunity and a threat. Hence, the Senate has a responsibility to ensure that the nation and citizens do not miss out on the opportunities that cryptocurrency offers, and in the same vein, mitigate and prevent likely consequential effects on the nation's economy and security. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to mandate its Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions to invite the CBN governor for briefing on the opportunities and threats of the cryptocurrency on the nation's economy and security, and report back its findings in plenary within 2 weeks. I so move and would want to yield the floor to my dear brother, the co-sponsor, as the President may direct. Thank you.
Senator Abiru.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. My name is Tokumba Abiru, Lagos East, and I wholeheartedly support this particular motion because of its major challenges to the economy and, in particular, our financial system stability. Also, it's important that I also make some few remarks because of the growing
interest in cryptocurrencies the world over. And in particular, I think I would like to note that all over the world today, cryptocurrencies are actually gaining some traction. And some of the reasons are not far-fetched. Number one, it has an attraction of the upcoming generation, particularly the youth, because it has created some sort of employment for them. And in the face of innovation and technology, it will be difficult to continuously stand in the way of evolutions like this. And more importantly, the attraction is further underscored by the typical loss of value in legal tender, that's money. Because over time, due to inflationary pressures, money generally tends to lose value. And particularly around this period that we live in, that is the period that is further challenged by recession. Of course, there will be inflationary pressures. So it will underscore why people are moving towards cryptocurrencies. And in Nigeria in particular, it is also important to underscore the fact that in the last 5 years, we have had people trading in cryptocurrency to the value of over $500 million. That's to tell you how it is gradually gaining traction. In last year in particular, we had over $140 million invested in cryptocurrencies. Now, just like my colleague rightly said, there are challenges, that cryptocurrency has also brought to the fore. You have the challenges to the challenge to the financial system stability on its own. That's why the CBN is concerned. You also have the issues around cybercrime and also terrorism. Now, in particular, I should also mention that last year during the EndSARS protest, and the CBN banned, the accounts of the EndSARS young lads. Now, cryptocurrency was what they resorted to. So clearly what it is telling us is that it is good to ban because of the challenges that it has also presented. But honestly, the reality is that banning it doesn't take it away. Banning it doesn't take it away. In the US, as the US is planning to come about their stimulus package of about $1.9 trillion, one of the major investors there, Elon Musk, just recently on Monday put in $1.5 billion of his assets into cryptocurrency. Now, what that has done is that the value of cryptocurrency has been further enhanced. Today, I understand it trades in the region of about $50,000 per Bitcoin. Now, so what we need to do, I believe, and before I go to that, is the fact that even our Securities and Exchange Commission, just last year, noting the gradual interest in cryptocurrency, also agreed and reckoned that recognized cryptocurrency as a financial asset that they need to keep the regulatory framework around. So
you can round up.
The motion as presented by my colleague that we should invite the major stakeholders to a public hearing, and at the point of adoption of this motion, I probably will want to raise an amendment at that point. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Before Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja speaks, the prayer has been corrected, and for the media, the prayer, let me read it again, and for all of us. Mandate the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions to invite the CBN governor for briefing on the opportunities and threats of the cryptocurrency on the nation's economy and security, and to report back findings within 2 weeks. It's not public hearing. Sponsor corrected the prayer. We should all correct ours so that we don't operate on different platforms. Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja, Jigawa, Northeast. Mr. President, I was raising my hand actually to call for an amendment of the prayer. but I still, even with the change in the process, maybe I was calling the attention of the Senate President to the fact that we should involve the Committee on ICT and Cybercrime in this process, because for the last year or so, the committee has been actively dealing and discussing on the issue of cryptocurrency. About October or so, we organized an international conference together with the United States and Israeli embassy for 2 days, and about 80% of the discussion was on cryptocurrency and the fact that Nigeria is actively driving towards a digital economy. So when you have the central bank come out with this kind of all-encompassing statement, it has really sent a lot of shockwaves to the system. There's a lot of confusion, just like Senator Abreu said. Just last year, the Securities and Exchange Commission actually gave its nod to the use of cryptocurrency as an investment channel. And the fact of the matter is, Mr. President, you can't ban dealings in cryptocurrency. It's not regulated. It's virtual. As the central bank is saying, they are going to shut down accounts of anybody dealing with cryptocurrency. They are actually talking about the exchanges that organize the arrangement between buyer and seller. As we speak now, people are still dealing in cryptocurrency on a direct basis. That's on a peer-to-peer basis. If I have Naira and you have cryptocurrency, we talk directly and, we make an exchange. The central bank is actually losing its oversight function on what is happening. And I think if we do that, we're only driving these feelings on the ground, which I think creates more danger than it portends. So we have a vast amount of material on this issue, Mr. President, and I think we should get the Committee on ICT and Cybercrimes to get involved in this process so that we can share some of the resources that we have at our disposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, very distinguished colleague. Mr. President, let me thank the mover and the sponsor of this motion. Mr. President, this is one motion that I also particularly have been looking forward to, even bringing it before the Senate. Mr. President, the outright ban of this medium of exchange, the cryptocurrency by the Central Bank of Nigeria, I am strongly against it. Because what the Central Bank should be telling Nigerians is what are the regulations put in place to regulate the activities of those operating in these cryptocurrencies. Banning it, as the last speaker said, is shining away from your oversight duties. Because all over the world, these cryptocurrencies are regulated. And I believe Nigeria should not be an exception. And Mr. President, let me say this. The operator of these so-called currencies are everywhere, lobbying, looking for people that will at least allow them to speak to. So that is why I will indulge this senator. Please allow the regulators also to be invited to speak to the relevant committees that will handle this particular item of that is before us, so that they can also tell the committees their own position concerning the operation of this cryptocurrency in Nigeria. From there, we can pick from there and also ask the Central Bank of Nigeria to give to us the regulation that have been put in place to regulate the activities of this cryptocurrency. And I think with that, it will give us a leadway on how to go about this issue of cryptocurrency being used in Nigeria. The reason being offered by Central Bank of Nigeria, I'm not in doubt of that they are used for other kind of transaction like ESAs, like this. Yes, I'm saying this, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I believe one way that we can put an end to all of this is to regulate the activities of the operator of cryptocurrencies, both from the operator and from the Central Bank of Nigeria. So I will employ the Senate to please bring the two together, the Central Bank and the operators, and let us move forward. I so submit, Mr. President.
Senator
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District. cryptocurrency has become a worldwide transaction, of which you cannot even identify who owns what, and it's been protected by an app or software blockchain. The technology is so strong that I don't see how, even if we regulate it, I don't know the kind of regulation that we can do. Because another very important thing that we should know is that Bitcoin has made our currency almost useless or valueless. Because I can remember about 6-7 years ago, my son bought 3 pieces of Bitcoin online. And today, he's coming to tell me that he has Bitcoins for sale. Why is it? It's not physical. But he said he has it on sale because he has bought it, and each one is going for 17 million naira. So if we have an economy that is very weak, and we cannot regulate cryptocurrency in Nigeria, then I don't know how our economy will be in the next few years. Central Bank has a duty to try and work with the Ministry of Science and Technology, the Ministry of Communication, to see how our cyberspace will be regulated. If we don't do that, then I don't see how we'll be able to achieve what we are trying to do here. Thank you.
Senator Abbasi Albert Akpan.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished and respected colleagues. Senator Albert Basi Akpan, Akwa Ibom Northeast. Mr. President, I rise to add my voice to the voices that have spoken on this motion. Mr. President, whether we like it or not, as the world has become a global village, technology has changed the way and manner businesses are conducted in Nigeria. 200-300 years ago, we used to have what we call trade by barter. Then money now became a value of exchange. And after money became a value of exchange, now we carry our money in our own credit cards. The next stage, the next level of payment, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is cryptocurrency. So we cannot be running away from the obvious. The way and manner we have treated trail of money transfer, it should be the responsibility of the Central Bank of Nigeria to even bring Nigerians up to steam with the next level of transactions. Not to run away from it, Mr. President. Nobody will say, as we speak to you today, even kidnappers are demanding Bitcoin. Kidnappers are demanding Bitcoin because it is the easiest way of receiving payment, Mr. President. Even the American government fought Bitcoin. But today they have come to the realization that the world has moved to that stage. So, Mr. President, I strongly believe that as the Senate and as the National Assembly, we ourselves must be interested with what is happening in the global space. Now you have the world in your palm. The world has become a one-stop shop. Somebody can carry $17 billion on his phone. That's what cryptocurrency and blockchain is all about. So we cannot run away from it because your children and my children are on this at this stage. We are
No, my children are not.
Mr. President, I strongly believe that you, as a lover of cryptocurrency, will ensure that we sell this next phase of technology to all Nigerians. A time has come where we must live with the obvious. I saw something, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Biodun Olujimi. I represent Ekiti South. Mr. President, there's really not too much to say about this. We didn't create cryptocurrency. And so we cannot kill it, and we cannot also refuse to ensure that it works for us. Definitely the youths of today are not like us. Me, I am used to tangible medium of exchange. I carry my cash in my pocket. I pay it. But the world has gone so far, Mr. President. And these children are doing great business with it. They are working every day on their laptops, on their phones, and they're getting results. And Nigeria cannot immune itself from this sort of business. What we can do is ensure that the space is regulated in such a way that bad people cannot use it. What we didn't create, we cannot fully regulate, but we can manage. And I believe that is the reason why this motion is most important, because the time has come for us to be able to harmonize all the issues concerning cryptocurrency and have a proper way forward on how to manage it and manage our youths. So I support this motion, and I believe at the end of it all, we'll be able to say we have done our bit. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, let's go to the prayer. Mandate the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions to invite the CBN Governor for a briefing on the opportunities and threats of the cryptocurrency on the nation's economy and security, and to report back findings within 2 weeks. Senator Ibrahim Hassan, you wanted the ICT and Cybercrime Committee to be joined. Okay, you can make it again so that somebody... No. You can say amendment to... Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Ibrahim Hassan Adeja. I move that the prayer be amended to read that the Committee for ICT and Cybercrimes be joined in the process of summoning the CBN President before it.
So any seconder, Senator Christopher Stephen Ekpel.
Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Christopher Stephen Ekpel. I rise to second that amendment as ably moved by my colleague.
Thank you. Those in favor of the two, but we have to pass this. It's already, there is a motion. We have to take the motion first. So those in favor of the prayer as amended, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You say amendment, Senator Geshambasi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Geshambasi, Cross River South. I wanted to amend the original prayer to include the Committee on Finance and
This is entirely the essence of the motion. Let me maybe speak here. The essence of this motion is for the CBN governor, who has issued a directive, is it, saying stop using cryptocurrency, to come and explain to the committee. So I don't know, cybercrime, probably because of the sake. How is it, but finance has nothing to do with this. Deputy Chief Whip.
Mr. President, I want to amend that prayer to include the Committee on Capital Market, and then to also say that SEC should be invited. Yes. Because of SEC to be invited that capital market should not be included.
So in order to avoid, anyway, but are you withdrawing your amendment?
Yes, well, I can withdraw it, but I believe that cryptocurrency has an impact on our economy. And
let's not, distinguished Senator Geshambasi, please, let's not lose the essence or the focus of what this issue is. The issue is the governor of the CBN said something, and we want to be educated. Let him come and brief the committees now on the merits and demerits. So this is the essence of the motion. It's not like we need everybody to come and justify or not justify the use of cryptocurrency. These arguments, we just want to properly inform what was the basis of the CBN governor's decision. I think that is the, isn't it? So now we include SEC. Okay, we include our committee on capital market as well. So who is seconding that? Senator Adiola Solomon Olomileko.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleague. I rise to second the motion that the Senate Committee on Capital Market be added to the committee to investigate this motion.
So those in favor of the motion of the prayer as amended, say aye. Those against, say nay. That is it. Secretary, I hope you have reflected is now committee. The prayer will read, mandate the Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, ICT and Cyber Committees on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, ICT and Cyber Crimes, and Capital Market to invite the CBN governor for briefing on the opportunities and threats of the cryptocurrency on the nation's economy and security, and to report back findings within 2 weeks. This is now the prayer. Thank you. Okay, additional prayer. Solomon Obiano.
Before I go into my additional prayer, we are mandating the committee to only listen to the central bank governor.
Yes, because the CBN is the one that made that statement.
Come back to us. Are we now going to redirect the committee to go back and invite the registered operator of this currency to listen to them? Why can't we make it a one-off transaction?
Okay, let me. I think we shouldn't shy away from inviting anyone at any time, but I don't want us to lose focus of this. We shouldn't bring the CBN governor and then those who are promoting this thing, and then it will become a you see Deputy Chief Whip.
Yeah, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this thing is very simple. When the CBN governor issued these directives, on the basis of wanting to understand what is happening, the only other body that I see that is relevant from all the discussion is SEC, because they are also talking about it from the point of view of investment. And I think some people were citing them as promoting that. So if we can add SEC as part of those that to be, I'm coming, not the committee, the Securities and Exchange Commission, they have their own statutory distance. So the committee can now be mandated to also invite them to listen to their own side of the story, having listened to the CBN governor. And by the time they are reporting back to us, we'll have a total picture of what is it that is being said. I think that is just...
Okay, Senator Matthew Rogide.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, and Senator Matthew Rogide, Representative Edo South. Mr. President, I think we shouldn't lose focus. Just what you said. Let us start from a point. The CBN governor made a pronouncement. Let us hear from him. If his explanation now implicates other people, we cannot invite them. This discussion cannot be ended just one day. I mean, there are so many things that are shrouded in cryptocurrency transactions in Nigeria. Until Senator Lamlekon said, let us invite the operators. And in some of the discussions we have had here today, these people are anonymous. Have they been registered?
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Okay, distinguished colleagues, I think this is a very simple matter. Please, let's not lose focus. The CBN as an institution made a pronouncement. That is our main point of concern. We added SEC because I think SEC was even supporting the cryptocurrency, right? Or are they also following the CBN argument? But SEC is an institution that understands the implications of this thing as well. Essentially, we want to be briefed. And this motion may not be the first and the last motion on cryptocurrency. What comes out of that meeting, because the committees will report to us, we could ask people who identify themselves, because in the submissions, we said nobody knows who is operating this thing. So maybe we could get even the list of the people using or handling these things from the CBN. We may have more information, then we can invite them. But at the moment, I would suggest that we restrict this thing to the CBN and SEC for our committees and the rest of us in plenary to be properly briefed and guided. So based on this, I think Senator Aisha too. No, they are bringing the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Aisha Tudairu Ahmed Binani, representing Adam Astro Central. Your Excellency, from the motion, I don't think the SEC have made any pronouncement. This pronouncement comes only from the CBN governor. And since you have said this will not be the first and the last motion, why don't we just take the CBN governor and then look at from what he will now give to the National Assembly. We will now look at who are aimed at so that we can now invite them. If we are at all inviting any other sector or agency or individual other than the CBN governor, then I think the operator too should be invited. If we are looking at just the CBN, let him come and tell us why did he make that pronouncement, what are the benefits. Then later on we can now see if there is need for us to invite the SEC, knowing fully that the cryptocurrency affect our economy so much, then we can now go ahead and invite them. But for now, I think the CBN governor should be invited alone. Thank you very much.
Well, how I wish you had made this remark before, because we have already voted on the amendment. So, distinguished colleagues, I will appeal to all of us that this is not going to be the first and the last on cryptocurrency. Is something that is developing. Most of us don't understand what it is. I'm sure only few, very few, here, probably the richest amongst us. So, very few. So we need the CBN governor to brief our committees, the joint committee now, properly, and then the committee will now present the report here. Because I'm sure Nigerians need to be educated on this thing. This is something that impacts on our economy, on security, and so many other things. And therefore must be of interest to every Nigerian, even though it's very complicated and apparently elitist. Because something that nobody sees it and you carry 17 billion in your phone. $17 billion in your phone is a major earthquake in the financial system. It's a major earthquake. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. So any additional prayer? Okay. Distinguished colleagues, thank you very much for your various interventions in the debates. And today we are closing at just some 9-10 minutes after 1 o'clock. This is like the other day should be. Maybe because of the COVID thing, we should be closing a little bit earlier so that we don't stay or overstay in the chamber. Leader of the Senate, move for adjournment. We have exhausted the order paper.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, having concluded today's proceedings on the order paper, I hereby move that the Senate do adjourn to Tuesday, 16th February 2021 at 10 a.m.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, having concluded all items on the order paper, I hereby second the motion that this Senate do now adjourn until Tuesday, 16th at 10 a.m. prompt.
Well, distinguished colleagues, before I put the question, let me wish all of us a happy Valentine Day on Sunday, 14th February, Sunday, 14th February 2021. So, happy Valentine. Well, but we must be very careful because of the COVID. So this, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do adjourn until Tuesday, the 16th day of February 2021, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have. The Senate is hereby adjourned until Tuesday, 16th February 2021 at 10 a.m. prompt.